Hello and welcome to the Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. Nigeria joins the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. Federal government reassigns IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu's case to a new judge. DR Congo announces $5 million reward for information leading to arrest of key leaders of M23 rebel group. Details to come your way shortly. We begin with the International Women's Day celebration, where First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called on women to uplift and empower one another in the collective pursuit of gender equality and progress. Her call comes as Nigeria joins the global community in celebrating International Women's Day 2025. The First Lady emphasized the crucial role women play in shaping a more inclusive and equitable society. She also celebrated the strength, resilience, and achievements of Nigerian women across various sectors, recognizing their invaluable contributions to nation building. Similarly, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has congratulated Nigerian women on International Women's Day, highlighting the importance of economic empowerment and inclusion. He acknowledged the invaluable contributions of women to the socio-economic growth and development of the country. However, Kalu noted that despite these significant contributions, women continue to face barriers to political inclusion. To address this challenge, he stressed the need to reserve seats in parliament through legislative measures, ensuring greater participation of women in Nigerian politics. And across the world, International Women's Day celebrates the achievements of women in every sector. Here in Nigeria, we highlight the trailblazers, that is, women who have shattered glass ceilings and paved the way for future generations. From politics to business, science to sports, Nigerian women are making history and redefining success. News Central's Bettina Imrili reports.
Today, we honor the resilience, strength and accomplishments of women globally, particularly Nigerian women, who continue to break barriers despite the challenges of balancing careers, family and societal expectations. Whether in boardrooms, on farms, in laboratories or on sport fields, Nigerian women are proven to be forces to be reckoned with.
Women bring certain capacities and certain strengths to any gathering, and that if they are underrepresented, that gathering is probably operating below its full potential. And because of that, you take an active stance in thinking whenever you are constituting anything or putting together any group to think about the question of gender balance.
Indeed, Nigerian women are making remarkable strides in various fields. Let's start with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the first African and first woman to lead the World Trade Organization, whose leadership continues to inspire millions of young girls striving for greatness. In the tech industry, Oduayo Eweniyi is revolutionizing financial technology, making wealth building more accessible for Nigerians. In science and medicine, the late Dr. Stella Adedevo remains a national hero for her crucial role in curbing the spread of Ebola in Nigeria, a sacrifice that saved thousands of lives.
There needs to first of all be acknowledgement that there is gender disparity in this context in Nigeria, right? We need to look at the socio-economic disparities. The fact that women earn less than men. I know that in the corporate world, there has been some sanity, but there are certain jobs that women won't get.
It's my honor to be presenting
the impact of Nigerian women doesn't stop there. In the creative industry, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie continues to elevate African literature on the global stage. Meanwhile, singers like Tiwa Savage, Ira Star, and Thames are making waves internationally, and in sports, stars such as Asisat Oshoala, Tobi Amusan, and Ezinne Kalu are cementing Nigeria's reputation on the world stage.
When we think about representation, clearly women are underrepresented in our leadership positions, I think probably across all sectors and all industries. And so much more, I think, remains to be done in that regard.
Despite these outstanding achievements, many women still struggle to balance their careers with societal expectations of motherhood and marriage.
There needs to be a lot of reorientation. We need to unlearn a lot of things and learn new things. And this isn't just for the men, even for the women as well. Because if a woman does not know that there should be gender equality, she's not going to teach her son to, believe that there is gender equality. You know what I mean? Women in the 50s.
As we celebrate International Women's Day, let's not only applaud these incredible women, but also work towards an inclusive society, one where gender equality and equity are not just themes, but lived realities. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nwili.
But earlier, founder NA Foundation, Afisa Atiku, joined us to discuss the significance of the International Women's Day.
Now we are grappling with what I would see as, social norms. The fact that people try to do tokenistic things to commemorate the day or to pay lip service to gender equality. And I think that the theme for this particular IWD 2025, which says accelerate action, is apt, because we know what to do. How do we then accelerate action to be able to see the impact of what we need to see in terms of gender equality? The statistics say that if we continue to go the way we are going, we would, nearest time, we will have comprehensive holistic gender equality in the year 2150. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be alive by that time. I would want to see at least a substantially gender equal world. But we really need to put our money and investment and resources where our mouth is. We can't continue to do the hashtag IWD 2005 or whatever the year is, but the recognizant effects are not showing in our society today. We cannot continue to see young women being beaten up, being killed, women being locked out of political circles or being suspended. I'm sure we know what we're talking about. While we still go out and chant IWD to 2025, women are tired, and women are really tired of the rhetoric over and over again. It's time for us to accelerate some action and put some, gas into the pedal.
Well, away from that, legislative activities at the Nigerian Senate this week was dominated by the fallout between Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's altercation with the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, which culminated in her suspension. From protests at the National Assembly to the submission of the Senate Ethics Committee's reports, the matter took center stage throughout the week's proceedings. News Central's National Assembly correspondent Sagir Ibrahim brings us the details in this piece.
To speak from there, that is the order of the Senate.
Sir, Order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Distinguished Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time
can the
to
Sergeant
speak
at Arms
upon a matter of privilege suddenly
take her out of the
arising.
Senate.
The controversy began on February 20th when federal lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan engaged in a heated exchange with the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, over a new seating arrangement in the chamber. Her refusal to relocate to her reassigned seat prompted the Senate President to refer the matter to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions. Days later, the matter spilled outside the chamber as pro-Natasha protesters stormed the National Assembly gate, demanding Akpabio's resignation and an independent investigation into her allegations of sexual harassment.
We call for an independent investigation, and while it is going on, sir, please let the Senate President step aside so that they can allow a proper investigation to be conducted.
Shortly after, pro-Akpabio demonstrators countered with demands for Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension and an official apology to the Senate.
She just apologized to the Senate. She should submit herself to probe. She must be probe. Nobody is above the law. So going to court will not help matter.
The Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions commenced an inquiry into Akpoti-Uduaghan's conduct on March the 5th, but the Kogi senator failed to appear before the panel, who also rejected her petition on sexual harassment against Akpabio.
The petition she presented today is actually dead on arrival. And I say that because it runs contrary to Order 40, subsection 4.
Despite her absence, the committee proceeded with its findings and submitted its report recommending a 6-month suspension for Akpoti-Uduaghan for violating the Senate rules and bringing the chamber to public disrepute.
Her behavior on the 20th of February 2025 was unethical and unbecoming of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by refusing to uphold the moral sanctity of the Senate and of the hallowed chamber.
The president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, put the committee's recommendations to a voice vote, which received overwhelming support. However, an amendment moved by Ojus Okalu representing Abia State sought a review of the committee's recommendations, altering the suspension of Akpoti-Uduaghan's legislative aides on the basis that they had done nothing wrong. This allows them to continue receiving their salaries and allowances during the period of her suspension.
It will be wrong to punish aides that have not committed any offense. Their aides will receive their allowances. The aides of Natasha is not Natasha.
Akpabio used the platform of the International Women's Day celebrations in the Senate to reaffirm his commitment to gender equality and pledge to continue advocating for women's rights.
Tinkering with the act to enable women, the Electoral Act, to enable women to have solid say in the parliament will do so. Condemn all issues of sexual harassment that are not fake. We must tell women not to use tears to look for sentiment when they are making false accusations.
With Akpoti-Uduaghan now suspended for 6 months, observers say the controversy is far from over as public debate continues to unfold. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Well, in the meantime, a delegation of senators from opposition political parties visited suspended Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, senator representing Kogi Central, at her home. The delegation was led by Sirike Dixon, a former governor of Bayelsa State. Dixon, a member of the Senate's Ethics and Privileges Committee that recommended Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension, shared a photo of the visit on his social media pages. Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended on Thursday for 6 months after she refused her new seats in the upper legislative chamber. The dispute escalated into allegations of sexual harassment by the Kogi senator against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. To discuss this, we are joined by the Executive Director, Not Too Young to Lead Initiative, Elvis Akpobi. Mr. Akpobi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Yeah, now, the heat started from the seat change without Natasha's notice to sexual harassment allegations. Did the President and his Senate handle this matter maturely?
For me, I believe that there's no smoke without fire, and I believe that the very first day the Senator Akpabio became the President of the Senate, his action and inaction to determine how that office would be respected, the honor that will be given to that office. If we check memory lane, there have been a lot of issues and negative comments coming from the Senate President, uninspiring comments coming from the Senate President. Comments like what they call let the poor breathe, mocking the poor and all that. This is not to say that that he. This is not to spite him, but the thing is, you give honor to whatever position for you. If you check this today,
Elvis, we seem to be having issues with connection and audio quality from your end. Maybe something we may need to have you work on so that we can eventually get quality feedback from you. Can you hear me? All right, so we'll connect with Elvis Akpobi to talk more about this issue regarding sexual harassment during the course of the news. But then we'll go on a very short break. When we return, we'll tell you about federal government reassigning IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu's case to a new judge. Of course, we'll bring you the details in a short while. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's tell you that the Federal High Court in Abuja has reassigned the terrorism trial of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, to a new judge. This decision follows a request from Kanu's legal team for Justice Binta Nyako to recuse herself, citing concerns over a fair trial. Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, confirmed that the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, reassigned the case after intervention from the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekeriekun. Kanu's legal team expressed gratitude to the Chief Justice for swift action and reaffirmed that Kanu is prepared to stand trial while maintaining his innocence. The case, which has been ongoing since 2021, involves a 7-count terrorism charge brought by the federal government. Away from that, thousands of families, particularly displaced persons, rely on cutting down trees to sell firewood or charcoal, despite the long-term consequences of deforestation. For many families in conflict-affected northeastern Nigeria, survival takes precedence over environmental concerns like climate change. New Central's Morikawa examines the impact of large-scale deforestation and the importance of reforestation.
One of the lasting consequences of war is environmental degradation. Finding a single tree in many affected areas is now a challenge. Security forces often clear trees to improve visibility against enemy, while survivors of war cut down trees for firewood to meet their basic needs.
Bawo ma kowanne mota da mota da rima samari wannan 15-20 ma bawo ma mutum da in ce 1000 ko kuma 800 samari wannan kullum sai sun fita.
Baranze bana umara zulum perfeso shango donguna isu blok soka andero diriza kalza get soka dai ka kane batsimba na re tsoron galar wazana.
Flooding remains one of the most devastating consequences of climate change, with severe impacts on children, forcing many to miss school when disasters strike.
Policies should be made that if a tree is cut down, 10 trees need to be planted in order to replace that one tree that has been cut down. And if a tree has to be cut down, it shouldn't be cut down directly from the roots. It should be at least shedded off, at least so that it will grow a little bit better.
Climate change would destroy us if we refuse to act now. And when we make an imagination with regards to how paradise is described to us, paradise would not be paradise without making the mention of gardens. And where are gardens? You will see lush trees. So when we talk about climate change and the solutions that we will proffer, people speak about planting trees. Trees are not just to protect us from the climate, are not just to serve as windbreaks, but trees are comforting to the soul.
A major challenge is that thousands of families now see firewood and charcoal as necessities rather than problems. Although efforts are being made to promote alternatives like briquettes, experts argue that such measures are insufficient.
Education is key, creation of awareness and enforcement of existing law. We have all this law in place. The problem is enforcement and implementation.
We are going to restore all the green zone in Borno State, that's one. Two, we are going to train people on climate smart agriculture in order to complement the depleted agricultural production that happened 2024 as a result of devastating flooding. And that we also intend to provide a source of livelihood for people, because an idle man is a devil workshop.
Recent changes in rainfall patterns in Borno State have led some communities to resort to prayers for rain, but experts stress that planting more trees is a crucial solution.
Desertification is a major threat to communities in the Lake Chad region, as it is causing the loss of fertile land and the displacement of communities. Hence, experts advocate sustainable planting of the trees for better and protected environment.
In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
We leave that to tell you that a global budgeting and transparency organization, the International Budget Partnership, says it has launched a new strategy to support Nigeria's federal government in its long-term drive for transformative reforms in the agriculture sector, particularly for smallholder women farmers. Speaking at the launch in Nigeria's federal capital, Abuja, the country manager of IBP Nigeria, Yinka Babalola, says that Nigeria needs to move beyond temporary budget increases in agriculture that can be reversed by future governments. Our correspondent, Joshua Imarai, reports.
At a time when Nigeria is undergoing various fiscal and monetary reforms, critical issues such as gender policy in agriculture and public resource governance have taken center stage.
We are a learning organization, and we soon realized that to ensure people get the services they pay for through taxes, levies, and fees, we need to consider the public resource governance system in its entirety. And so this means that we should move away from the traditional PFM system to consider all stakeholders required to deliver services to Nigerian citizens end to end.
The country director of pro-transparency organization, the International Budget Partnership Nigeria, is calling on government at all levels to pursue sustainable reforms for equitable resource assets beyond annual and temporary budget increase.
So we're adopting what we call a systems change strategy, which is changing the whole system, also using gender as well, and what we call intersectionality, which looks at people with disabilities, maybe single women, people that belong to minority ethnic groups, also elevating their needs and their desires and ensuring that the system works for them and delivers services for them.
Nigeria's Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, who was also at the event, also emphasized the need for public budgeting to tackle inequitable resource distribution and recovery challenges.
There is an increasing need for public budgeting to recognize that challenge and to ensure that more attention is being paid such that budgets are catalytic to mobilizing more resources and ensuring that the gender imbalance is de-risked by the way money is spent and allocated.
Other stakeholders also weighed in on IBP's new strategies launch.
The event came at a very right time where the findings from this research can be used to push for advocacy in ensuring that there is equitable collection of taxes and that taxes, especially from women in the informal sector, are being collected based on their income and are being assessed against other criteria, such as balancing household responsibility, unpaid care work, amongst others.
Agricultural stakeholders here say that for Nigeria to achieve transformational change in equitable resource distribution, it must pursue solutions that ensure fairer allocation of public resources. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imanai.
Traders at the popular Karu market in Abuja, located at the Karu satellite community in the municipal area of Abuja, have accused the market management authorities of shops racketeering. The traders, while protesting at the market in Abuja, say despite paying for their shops to be rebuilt, the shops are being allocated to persons not engaged in buying and selling within the market. They are calling on the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike to intervene in the situation. Amadine Uyi compiled this report.
They converged at the entrance of the popular Karu market. The traders say they lost their wares at the unfortunate Karu market fire last year.
We are all owners of shops inside the market, and the market chairmen and those that are in charge of the market and Amax, they promise us that they are going to rebuild the shop, that after they have rebuilt those shops, that we owner of the shop inside the market, that we are going to pay the money instrumentally, depending on how much we have. You know, after the end of 2 years, period of 2 years, at the end of the day, after they build the shop finish, they answer that we are going to pay 2.5 million cash.
They say that the market administration is currently engaging in shops racketeering as the rebuilt shops are being given to non-traders despite assurances given to them and payment already made.
As we are seeing our faces here, as we are here, many of us here that own the shop, now we have paid the 2.5 million. Many of us here, we have to sell our land, we have to sell our house, we borrowed money from microfinance, we borrowed money from banks to make sure that we pay this money. And in December, as I'm talking to you now, they give us only 2 weeks from December that we should pay all this money. And all of us make sure that we pay the 2.5. Now that allocations start coming out, we believe that with the money that we pay, the fund that they give us, that the shops will be given to shop people that made the payments. But what we are seeing inside the market right now is that people that they are giving the shops, many of them are not the people that are inside the market.
As we are talking to you, all of us are under umbrella and canopies. Rain that fall yesterday beat all our goods because we did not expect rain last night. As we are talking to you, all our tables are wet. We are begging them to please come and start building the batch B. Those that they have used for batch A, they should allocate to batch A allocation for them.
What we heard was that the government is going to come to our aid, and by building the shop will be allocated to affected traders, and the money will be subsidized, as in it will be paid in installment basis. But as time goes on, they started the building of the shops with the intention that the shop will be allocated to those affected. And as things went on, the people who actually got affected were not given shops.
Some of them described the event as unfortunate and a breach of trust.
We discovered that the money was hiking from 1.8 that we had to 2.5. But when people started coming in from outside to take over the shops, the capitalists who are rich, it became a problem to the traders in the market that they could not afford. Most of us could not afford the 2.5 to pay, and those who paid the 2.5 were not even given.
They're calling on the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, to intervene and ensure transparency in the entire process.
Let's now tell you about revenue generation. The chairman of the Plateau State's Internal Revenue Service, Pam Wayas, has advocated the total overhaul of the tax payment system in the state so as to encourage development. This is as Wayas tasked the residents of the state on the importance and benefits of prompt tax payments. Chizobayome was there for News Central and our reports.
Tax evasion, non-regulation of immigrant activities, and illegal mining activities, among others, are some of the challenges identified by the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service in generating enough funds in the state. Chairman of the Revenue Agency believes that all the stakeholders need to contribute their quota responsibly and diligently too.
We have to formalize this sector. We have to regularize this sector, and we have to also bring them to the tax net. And if you agree with me, there is a huge inflow of foreign nationals into the state. And let me tell you the truth, I wrote to the Nigerian Immigration Services that I need an expatriate quotas. Do you know that most of the people, let's not cast the horse before time, but most of them are not properly even registered. Our tax system needs to be overhauled, and then our taxing individuals need to be willing taxpayers.
Similarly, Mr. Waya says fake documentation of residents, inadequate data gathering, and financial transactions negate effective tax system in Plateau State.
I'll just touch only the commercial property. Nobody have even talked about private properties, that's private dwellings. But yet, we have known how much money have come in. The preliminary things that we have done so far have even exposed that you could see an individual that have over 50 properties, and this person had never paid tax, or the highest he had ever paid to the Internal Revenue Service is 1.5 million. Plateau State is a very law-abiding state. It's a place that we allow everybody to come and strive, but play to the rules.
He noted that once these challenges are overcome, all taxpayers will begin to enjoy the dividends of their taxes, to be seen in road reconstruction as well as other social amenities. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyui.
Talking about grafts, anti-corruption experts in Nigeria have called for increased efforts to fight corruption in the country. This was during a stakeholders dialogue which was held in the nation's capital, Abuja, where they say that the effect of corruption on the nation's economy is telling, as corruption continues to pose significant detrimental challenges to Nigeria's developmental aspirations. Away from that, religious leaders in Nigeria are being urged to use their influence to advocate for stronger climate policies as the country grapples with worsening environmental challenges. The call was made at the Interfaith Dialogue on Climate Change in Abuja, where faith leaders, civil society groups, and climate advocates stressed the urgent need for action. The summit, organized by Connected Development, highlighted the growing threat of climate change in Nigeria, driven by pollution, poor waste management, and environmental degradation. Faith leaders called on citizens and policymakers to step up efforts in tackling the crisis.
Effective policy and legal frameworks with accompanying sanctions and incentives need to be put in place to tackle these problems. Individual citizens and pressure groups, including religious bodies and civil society organizations, must take responsibility for what happens to the present and future generations of human beings and other natural species by advocating for a new environmental ethics and a new environmental politics in our country, Nigeria, and across the world.
The duty on what needs to be done is beyond that of science and scientists. We definitely need their input, but we also need a moral and ethical call to action. So what science provides data and helps us in the analysis of our challenges, they provide the motivation for even the scientists to act with responsibility, or leaders and politicians and everybody to act with a sense of justice and compassion.
We think the time is right because Muslim brothers and sisters are practicing Ramadan, and Christian brothers and sisters are in the Lent period. And we believe that it's important to bring stakeholders in the faith sector. Why? Because we're losing track of the implication of taking the messages to the people to take the right actions. And not because we don't have the legal and regulatory framework. So we believe that because Nigeria is a religious country, and we also believe that faith brings about justice.
Away from that, officials from the ECOWAS Commission in Abuja have raised an alarm over the harmful effects of fake news and disinformation, saying that that has become a threat to peace and democracy within the sub-region. This was during a training for media professionals in Abuja, where they called for partnership to help tackle the spread of fake news and disinformation. Amadine Uyi compiled the reports.
The media, known as the fourth estate of the realm, has continued to play fundamental roles in sustaining democracy and bringing governments to account. Experts believe that the role of the media contributes positively to the development of many nations.
The media serves as a pillar of democracy, influencing public discourse and shaping societal narratives. In an era of increasing socio-political complexities and security challenges, the role of journalists in ensuring information integrity cannot be overstated.
As media professionals converge in Abuja for a training on countering misinformation, disinformation and malinformation, experts here say this is apt as fake news has continued to threaten the stability of the ECOWAS sub-region, a situation that has now become a concern.
Our monitoring shows and highlights increased prevalence of misdisinformation and polarization, particularly election-related misdisinformation that intensify the threat to peace and democracy in the region.
Unfortunately, the rise of misinformation and disinformation has led to confusion, division, and in some cases, conflict. These threats undermine democracy, hinder sustainable development, and erode public trust in institutions.
This training presents an opportunity to work together to curb the threats of disinformation and misinformation before they negatively impact our harmonious coexistence and the progress of the West African sub-region.
They say through collaboration and partnership, the media can help champion peace and advocate for regional stability.
These challenges affecting our societies can be overcome, but not without the support of the media and its important role in promoting and advocating for peace and regional stability in West Africa.
It is therefore our collective responsibility to counter false narratives and promote responsible journalism within our sub-region.
They urge media professionals to be responsible, obey the ethics of the profession, and help in countering fake news and false narratives.
And we wanted at that time.
Coming up on the news, DR Congo announces $5 million reward for information leading to arrest of key leaders of M23 rebel group. We will tell you more after the short timeout. To join us again. A lawyer representing former Guinean Prime Minister Ibrahima Fofana, who has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for embezzlement, insists his client is innocent of all charges. A Guinean court convicted Fofana of embezzlement of public funds, illicit enrichment, and corruption. Fofana, who has been in custody since April 2022, served as Prime Minister under civilian President Alpha Condé from May 2018 until the military ousted Condé in a September 2021 coup. The Special Court for Financial Crimes, established by Guinea's military rulers, found him guilty and imposed a fine of 2 million Guinean francs, along with 18 billion Guinean francs in damages and interest. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo has announced a $5 million reward for information leading to the arrest of key leaders of the M23 rebel group. According to the Ministry of Justice, the reward applies to anyone who provides information that results in the capture of Corneille Nangaa, Bertrand Bisimwa, and Sultani Makenga. The three were convicted in absentia and sentenced to death in August 2024. The M23 rebels, backed by Rwandan forces, have taken control of several areas in eastern DRC, including the provincial capitals of Goma and Bukavu. In addition to the reward for their leaders, authorities are also offering a $4 million bounty for information on their accomplices. From other continents, we tell you that on International Women's Day, women in Kharkiv, Ukraine, gathered to pay tribute to female soldiers who have lost their lives defending their country. The demonstration was a poignant display of solidarity and respect, with attendees waving flags and banners and holding a minute of silence. A flower installation was also adorned with placards highlighting the sacrifices made by female soldiers. The event was a powerful reminder of the crucial role women play in Ukraine's defense. International Women's Day is a holiday in Ukraine, and this year's commemoration took on a special significance amidst the ongoing conflict.
Так, я вважаю, що замість квітів можна було придбати військове спорядження і решту засобів, які б задовольнили потреби наших військових захисників-захисниць.
У нас є тільки один день, коли ми про це можемо говорити голосно, але про це потрібно пам'ятати кожного дня. Бо жінки – це половина нашого суспільства. І потрібно говорити про те, що вони роблять, про те, які вони, і як вони захищають, і що вони роблять для того, щоб наша країна була вільна і незалежна.
Інших, але, звісно, сьогодні зібралось набагато більше дівчат для того, щоб показати, що це свято, воно не тільки про красу і взагалі не про весну, а про те, що як і багато тисяч жінок вийшли 8 березня колись дуже давно на акції, так і ми сьогодні маємо на це право, так би мовити, і ми його використовуємо активно. Ну і взагалі додатково це все таке вшанування, воно просто співстало з цим святом.
Away from that, Germany's conservatives, led by Friedrich Merz, and the center-left Social Democrats have reached a landmark agreement to form a government. This coalition aims to revive and rearm Europe's largest economy through significant investments. Merz, who won the February 23 election, announced the successful completion of exploratory talks alongside Lars Klingbeil of the SPD. The parties will now proceed with formal talks to solidify their coalition government. The proposed government plans to focus on economic growth, climate protection, and social welfare.
Ich kann Ihnen mitteilen, dass wir vor einer knappen Stunde die Beratungen zwischen CDU, CSU und SPD abgeschlossen haben. Wir haben ein gemeinsames Sondierungspapier erstellt und wir haben in einer ganzen Reihe von Sachfragen Einigkeit erzielt. Ich will, bevor ich auf Einzelheiten zu sprechen komme, sagen, dass dies alles in den letzten Tagen in einer ausgesprochen guten und sehr kollegialen Atmosphäre stattfindet.
In sports, women wrestlers took center stage at this year's ECOWAS wrestling tournament in Abuja, marking the first time the annual event included a women's division. Fighters from across West Africa showcased their strength and skill, demonstrating the evolving landscape of the traditionally male-dominated sport. Ivorian wrestler Selene Bakayoko was among those who embraced the opportunity, emphasizing that women have always had the ability to compete but lacked the platform to do so. Despite the milestone, challenges remain, particularly the limited availability of female training partners. The tournament also saw the absence of Niger Republic, last year's top-performing nation, due to political tensions with ECOWAS. Spectators expressed concerns about the situation, highlighting that sports should serve as a unifying force. For the competing women, the event marked a significant step toward greater inclusion. And talking about West African rugby, the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Honorable Bukola Olokbade, has congratulated the President of the Nigeria Rugby Football Federation, Dr. Ademola Are, on his election as the first Vice President of the Union of West African Rugby Federations. Dr. Are, recognized for his efforts in revamping Nigerian rugby, was elected alongside other executives in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. His appointment is seen as a boost for Nigerian rugby, offering opportunities for international collaborations and strengthening the sport locally and within West Africa. His new position is also expected to enhance Nigeria's influence in staging international competitions, aligning with the NSC's Renewed Hope Initiative for Sports Development. The NRFF has been a key player in this vision, pioneering administrative reforms in Nigerian sports governance. Away from that, Nigeria's under-17 girls, the Flamingos, secured a crucial 3-1 away victory over South Africa's Botswana on Saturday, strengthening their chances of reaching the final qualification round for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Shakirat Moshood, a 4-goal scorer at last year's World Cup, struck in the 20th minute at Pretoria's Lucas Muripe Stadium. Harmony Chidi, who netted 13 goals in the last qualifiers, doubled the lead from the penalty spot. Botswana pulled one back through Malebana's penalty after half-time, but Chidi sealed Nigeria's win in the 68th minute. The return leg takes place next Saturday at Remo Star Stadium in Ikene Remo. The winner advances to the final round, where 4 teams will qualify to join hosts Morocco at the tournament set for between October 17 and November 5. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we look at our top stories again. Nigeria has joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. federal government has reassigned IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu's case to a new judge. We also told you that DR Congo has announced $5 million reward for information leading to arrest of key leaders of the M23 rebel group. Well, you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. While you do that, follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV, and you can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV 23, Star Times 274, Arvo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Likon Onobanjo.